we are asking, Kenyans are asking, is lockdown the possible solution in combating COVID-19? So far that we have seen Mombasa County has registered 79 cases. Keegan.
Thank you so much, Habel, for having us again. I can't say that time is right for the lockdown or not now, especially now that we have seen the number of the tests we have done so far is just less than 15,000. So these are not good to give us the statistics whether to give another, for the government to give another stringent measures or not. For instance, remember that total lockdown requires the government to chip in and to help the citizens, because that means that the nation is just under complete is completely paralyzed. So at the moment now, despite the fact that the Africa Centers for Disease Control says that for the last just a week, the number of cases are risen by 43%. That's something to worry about. But now also the government must be prepared fully, because lockdown means complete paralysis.
Okay, I get your point. Okay, let me bring in Bridget Agonga. Agonga, if you can hear me. Countries like Rwanda, India have gone into a total lockdown. Is that possible for Kenya? Agonga.
Abel, in as much as it is going to be difficult for us Kenyans to be in total lockdown, I think that is the right solution, because in as much as they've impacted the curfew from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m., people still interact during the day. People don't keep the social distancing. There are some who don't put on masks. There are some who don't sanitize. And you might find among these people, there are some who are infected. Just as the governor of Mombasa said, it is easier to raise an economy than to raise thousands of people who are dead. So it's high time that the government discuss about the lockdown. Yes.
Okay, Kigamba, Mama Mboga in Gatundu constituency needs to go out each and every day to make ends meet. But if we impose a total lockdown in our country, she cannot do that. What is your take on that issue, Kigamba? You can hear me.
Sorry.
I was saying Mama Mboga in, let's say, for example, a constituency in Gatundu, like Gatundu, for the Mama Mboga to make ends meet, she has to go out each and every day. But if a total lockdown is to be imposed in our country, then she cannot make ends meet. What is your take on that issue?
Okay, on that issue, if the government will just ensure it deals and come up with the best ways, the lockdown might be the solution. The government must ensure even that Maboga has the necessary food for the family, and on top of that, we should not go hungry indoors. The way we see Kenya, Kenyans are kind of let me call them crazy, because if you expect to lock Maboga in the house, it is not going to work. There are times she will get tired, she cannot watch her family die due to hunger. She's definitely going to disobey the lockdown issue.
Okay, thank you very much, Gamba, for your intake. Now, allow me to bring in Kihara. Kihara, if you can hear me now, other ministries. Yes, Agwenge.
And adding on the lockdown issue, I think the lockdown will also help cap the curve. It will also help decrease the curve, because, you know, among us, we don't know who is infected, who is not infected. So the lockdown will also help reduce the curve, in that those who are infected will be able, the government will be able to locate them easily. Yeah. So I think that's the only solution that will help reduce the curve of the number of people who are being infected each day. Abel.
Yes, go ahead. Yes, go ahead, Kigamba.
On Agwenge's point.
Yes.
As much as the Kenyan people insist on government to work on a lockdown, then I think it should work with the counties. Let the government first start thinking about the counties that has a high number. Let them start working with the county government let them know on when to start the lockdown. But working it as the whole country and the economic issues that we have right now, it cannot work as the whole country. Let it work first in the counties, the ones that have been affected. Like the way Governor Joe is talking about Mombasa. It can work if only he decides to work between the county government and the country government to bring in and know how, when and how to solve the issue to ensure that Mwananchi, as he or she is in the house, is not hungry. But talking about the whole country, it is not going to work. But as a county, the most affected one, it is going to work. Only if the county government provide the basic needs for that, for its residents. But as a county,
I get your point, Kigamba. Alan, you had something to say?
Yeah, Kigamba just picked the words out of my mouth, but I was about to emphasize that point about this lockdown doesn't have to be like total lockdown in the whole country. You can just start with the counties that are highly affected, the epicenters of be tested to decide. Besides, as you've realized from the latest statistics, most of these people are asymptomatic kind of carriers, a form of carriers in this disease. They show no signs. I mean, they are physically fit, but they are positive. I mean, if that's the situation out here, imagine how many people are going to be affected with this. So I believe we're just ready for this. Besides, as far as we're living hand to mouth, the government has been raising the COVID-19 fund, which is at $1 billion and something right now. $1 billion is enough to feed this 4 counties or 5 counties for as long as a month. $1 billion is a lot of money, Abel. Considering you've also heard about the 40 billion, I believe this money is supposed to feed us at this time. As the economy will build, Abel. Every economy is going to be affected by this, and we'll just grow to it. But I believe we have enough funds and resources to survive through curfew, lockdown.
Okay, I get your point, Alan. Now, Kihara, if you can hear me, after Kilifi, Mombasa, and Kiara, if you can hear me, I was saying after Kilifi, Kwale, Mombasa, and Nairobi counties respectively, Mandera is one of the latest counties so far to have imposed a lockdown in their region. Now, what is your take on that issue, keeping in mind that Mandera is a very big county and it has a lot of shortcuts to get in and out of that county? Do you think the county government of Mandera will sustain in keeping people or ensuring people don't get in or out of Mandera County? Kihara, if you can hear me.
Thank you. I think Mandera is one of the vulnerable counties, putting into mind that it is, according to the census, it was like densely populated somehow. So I think the move by the governor was a smart one, and it will help contain the pandemic.
Okay, Bernard Gigan, if you can hear me, allow me to bring you in and tell me your take on this issue. That after Kilifi, Kwale, Mombasa, Nairobi counties respectively, Mandera is one of the latest counties so far to have imposed a lockdown. There's no entering or exiting that county. But Mandera is a big county and it's well known to have a lot of shortcuts to get in and out of that county. Now, Higan, how is the county government of Mandera going to ensure that citizens don't get in or out of that county, and as one of the stringent measures to combat COVID-19? Keegan, if you can hear me.
Thank you so much, Abel, thank you so much. So far, one of the measures taken by the county government is just to ensure there is that no moving in and or out of those counties, for example, Mandera. And I think that's not only enough. The government should also put more efforts in combating this COVID-19. For example, by just trying to inform the people, the natives, the citizens, that it is important for them even to abandon their cultures for some time. For instance, we know that in those places, people maybe have the habit of just having masses or just almost the whole. So I think that, and they can't give social distance. So I think it's important for even for more measures, just for people to be informed about the importance now of keeping social distance and just avoiding some of the cultures they have been taking for long, just for some time until this pandemic is over.
Okay, I get your point, Kigen. Thank you very much for your input. Now, Polycarp, if you can hear me, COVID-19 has largely affected sports. Talk of Olympics, talk of rugby, talk of UEFA Champions League. But don't you think ministries like sports and heritage should chip in and assist Ministry of Health in combating COVID-19? What is your take on that issue, Polycarp?
Well, you have a good point there, but if I may ask, how are they supposed to chip in and help? I mean, they are not
Like,
professionally trained
like
for
the funds that
healthcare.
go on.
They're not professionally trained for healthcare. The Ministry of Health hasn't said they're short of manpower to collect the contacts and stuff. I believe the Ministry of Health is sufficiently equipped and staffed. Otherwise, they'll have raised the issue. Besides, if you include the other ministries such as heritage and sports, I think that's just further funds that we're going to waste because as we know, our nation, the more the people, the more the money they'll include in that.
Yeah.
And
But
that's
but
the least we
Alan, I
need by
mean,
now. I mean, there are enough ministries in this already helping out. There's the Ministry of Interior, we have the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Treasury. I mean, those are enough, more than enough for now to just combat this. We still not
but Alan, our frontline soldiers, that is our doctors and nurses, are saying they don't have enough number of PPEs. But what if Ministry of Sports and Heritage, if it can chip in and also divert their budget from doing from sponsoring sporting activities now that it is not there to help so that they can help in combating COVID-19, Alan?
Abel, the way you insisted on Ministry of Wildlife and Heritage, remember our animals are still in the park. They still need people to take care of them. We don't need the animals. Remember, poachers are not on holiday. It's not a holiday after all. Poachers are still out there. Our animals, you said the other day, the rhinos are giving birth. Our animals are in the park, and they still need someone to take care of them and for our safety as well. By being there at the park and running things within their ministry, they're already doing enough for us. Until that point, we are maybe surpassing numbers that are unbearable. I believe at the point you're just okay with the Ministry of Health and the number of ministries that are involved in this.
Agonge, if you can hear me, I mean, so far there are no sporting activities going on, but what if Ministry of Sports could chip in and assist MOH in combating COVID-19? That is, they can divert their budgeting from funding sporting activities to funding like purchasing PPEs or mask sanitizers, you can also name them. What is your take on that issue, Agonge?
Just like Polycarp has said, when we chip in these ministries, that means that another they can, so that they can be able to distribute to this ministry so that they can do their work. Now, this money that is going to be distributed to these ministries which wants to chip in, why can't they use this money to things which are not available,
okay,
such as, like I said, there are no ICU beds, there are no ventilators. So instead of some other ministries chipping in, they can use this money to purchase those things which are not there, Abel.
Okay, John Kimtai, I can see you have joined us. Thank you very much. Now, Kimtai, on measures to cushion the vulnerable community in our country, I was asking, are street children part of the vulnerable community? Kimtai, if you can hear me. Kimtai, if you can hear me.
Thank you so much, Masete. Yes, I can. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I think the street children should be among the vulnerable group because they can be exposed to danger very easily because in as much as they are trying to keep social distancing, the situation which they are in, they can't, because these are people who are eating anything at the street, and I think the government should find a way of assisting them and allocating them a public institution and giving them food, mask, and everything because they don't have anywhere to call home. Because at 7 p.m. we know there is a curfew. Everyone is running home, but for them, the streets the streets is their home. So I think they have to be among the vulnerable group that the government was saying.
Okay, Kigamba, if you can hear me, are street children part of the vulnerable community? Is GOK responsible for their livelihood? Kigamba, if you can hear me.
Yes, they should take also the measures to protect them from this COVID-19. You know, this COVID-19, those are the 6 children are always begging in the street. So they come into contact. They don't know whether they are supposed, even some of them don't know, they don't have the good knowledge to know on how to protect themselves. First, they need to, this money that they are being given to these orphans, widows, and their old age, they should also ensure that the street families have the best and the best ways to protect themselves. Give them the mask, give them the sanitizers, educate them. Like I think it is last week, but one, they were complaining in the news that they were being beaten. They live in the street. Where else do you expect to find them? The government should come in and know on how to ensure, because if one gets the COVID-19, definitely all those, because they share where they sleep, they are always together, they are begging the street, then we ensure the curve will not go straight as they expect. It is going to shoot. There are very many in the street, they come into contact, they live with brothers, they protect each other because they don't know about tomorrow. They are the ones who are finding something to eat on their. So the government should protect them also, because now they are like Nairobi County, they are very many. That is another risk. If you get my point, that is another risk because they are always together.
Okay, I get your point. Thank you very much, Edna Kigamba. Now, I want to bring in Kihara. Kihara, if you can hear me, let's say, for me personally, I don't know if the street children are part of the vulnerable community, but for instance, let's say they are part of that vulnerable community. Now, GOK says they'll be using cash transfer system to reach the vulnerable community. Now, what about the street children? If we were to say they are part of that community, Kihara, what's your take on that issue? Keeping in mind that most of the street children don't have phones, but GOK insists that they'll be using cash transfer system.
Thank you. They insist on cash transfer system and not handling cash so that it does not transmit. But I think it's not, they did not put them in mind when they came up with this solution, and it is not fair for them. It will not be okay. And I think they need to be sensitized on coronavirus, because most of them just hear of it. They don't know what it is, what it really is. They just know it is a disease, maybe like just coughing or something, but they need to be sensitized and they need to be told the effects of the disease so that they know how to protect themselves, and they need to be given the masks and the sanitizers. Although maybe on the part of sanitizers, it will be quite difficult for them, bearing in mind the conditions in which they live. They are, for lack of a better word, I can say they live in dirty conditions. So I think they need to be protected because they are vulnerable and they are Kenyan citizens. So it is the responsibility of the government to take care of them.
Okay, Kigan, if you can hear me, I'm asking if the street children are part of the vulnerable community, and if they are, the case says they'll be using cash transfer system to reach to that particular community. Now, I mean, keeping in mind that street children, a number of them don't have phones, but JK insists it will be using cash transfer system. What is your take on that issue, Kigan?
Yeah, indeed, it is very sad that even when the government was rolling down the measures to help the vulnerable in the society, like the elderly and even those with some of the maybe disabilities, but the street children were not on their agenda. It seems just that they are just being left on the God's hands, and they don't have even anywhere to call home when the government is saying stay at home. So I think that the government actually should consider them and take them to somewhere for some time, and just even help them with some food, so that because when the government now is saying that please stay at home, don't move around, and even during the curfew hours, these street children don't have anywhere to go. Some of them try to hide so that they can't be harassed by the police officers. So they only depend on the well-wishers. Some of